Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. I'm Gav. This is Kev, this is Chris, and we're here to chat Liverpool, any news, anything else that's going on. We tried to look at Manchester United's accounts and why they're filing accounts with another company and calling itself Manchester United, which we may get into later. And Kev wants to talk about Thomas Frank, so we're going to do that as well. Because when I said no, I don't want to be went. Well, we are, so we are. So there you go. Liverpool, let's start with Liverpool. And Chris, I'll come to you first. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has been, according to Paul Joyce, is very close. I think it was Paul Joyce. I don't want to put words in Paul's mouth, but I think it was. And he said,
Yeah, it was Paul Joyce.
Yeah, it was, okay. And he said, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, the former Rangers manager, Derby County manager, former Arsenal player, former Barcelona player, I think, as well, and Dutch. He's Dutch as well, of course he is. He is close to taking up a role within the Liverpool coaching staff to replace Johnny Hoytinga. What do you make of this? Because I find it a bit weird.
It's becoming a bit of a trend now, isn't it? Man, young ex-players who've done a bit of management, probably hasn't quite always gone the way they want, go back into a big club as a number two, probably gain a bit more experience, learn off a more experienced manager, and then they move on. I mean, I don't expect Van Bronckhorst to be there more than 2 years, and then he'll go then.
Yeah.
And then we'll do it, and then we'll look for our next one then. So it was a little bit of a surprise though, because he probably wasn't the one that was mentioned. Because the room was Dirk Kuyt, wasn't it? Which was like, okay, similar profile, young manager and all that. But this one has come a little bit out of the blue because there's been no sort of mumblings about it until Paul Joyce's article.
Chris Hockley asks, is Matt off the grid? No, Matt is just living fucking 7 hours behind us. And he's
working for a living.
And he's working, and there's mad time constraints on the stuff that he has to do in the family business, so we can't just like decide, I'll just go and do a podcast. So no, he's not off the grid. He's chomping at the bit to come back and do a podcast, but listen, needs must at the minute, so there you go. But anyway, back to Van Bronckhorst. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Chris, and I agree with you, because Kev, this feels like we feel like a fucking drop-in centre where we get a guy who was manager at Derby, went off, done something else, went to Rangers. He probably managed Holland at some stage, I don't know. And and now we're just like, oh, come on over here. You can come in here and do this. And what we'll do is we'll be really good at what we do, and then you'll get a job somewhere else.
Oh, listen, part of me really likes it, and part of me is like, yeah, this is going to be a roundabout. The thing is, Giovanni Bronckhorst is 50. That'll fucking age you now. You know, Gio Van Bronckhorst is 50 years of age, and it's he's been around the block in management terms. Rangers, Besiktas, Feyenoord, massively experienced player. So he'll have a rapport with the players, no doubt. But at the same time, if we're doing really well, he's going to get half-inched, and if a decent job comes up, he's going to be linked with every single one of them, because that's what he is. He's a manager. He's been around the block. And as someone else, I think it was someone put in the chat earlier, he's won things. So I don't mind it. The part of me that likes it is, okay, they've had a voice for a year. Because, Arne Slot is the manager, but it's the coaches that are involved closely with the players. Day-to-day interactions, detail sessions. The coaches are really heavily involved with, the players day to day. And I think it's a really good thing that the players from season to season hear a different voice, hear a different thing.
Ferguson done it a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Ferguson was brilliant at it, and it's something that Jurgen Klopp didn't do enough of. He didn't do it when he needed to do it, with players hearing the same voices all the time. And I don't care how long you've been at a club, it gets old and it gets stale, and you can be the biggest character in the world. It grates on you after a while. So the idea that someone like Gio Van Bronckhorst would come to Liverpool for a year, take on what the club's about, take on what Arne Slot's about, get involved with the players, develop himself, and then maybe next summer goes off and does something else. Fine, we bring someone else in. I'm all for it. I kind of like it. But at the same time, I saw something that his wages that he was on in his last job was £1.7 million per year. We're not paying that for a first team coach, not by any stretch. So if he's going to come to Liverpool, he's going to be taking a big old pay cut, but it's going to be an investment in his career long term. I think he can only win from this. He can only improve from this. This is a win-win for him, and I think it's good for us as well.
It's actually like, it's a good thing and it refreshes and new voices. But this isn't a new voice by choice. We lost Johnny Hoytingen because he was good. He's good at his job. He must be. Ajax sacked the manager because they absolutely bottled the league title. I think they're 8 points clear with 6 to go or something, and lost it by a point. And he's being poached by Ajax to be their first team coach or manager, whatever terminology they want to use. So it's not something by choice where Liverpool are going, well, we refresh it to new voices. Now, I get what Kev's saying, new voices can help. But, Slot's been amazing in his fourth season. But is it a time... Maybe, look, I could be wrong. Maybe Van Bronckhorst comes in and says, look, I've done the few managing bits. I'd love to come in here and work with you and, try build something at Liverpool. But I'm kind of thinking, without casting aspersions on Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, but I'd kind of like someone to come in where we go, yeah, he's a coach. He wants to just be a coach and he wants to do his best for us in the long term. Or am I being a bit
I think we might be overthinking a little bit because he's not coming in to be Slot's assistant.
No.
So, like, Husselhofer, however you pronounce his last name, I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. He's still going to be, Slot's number 2. So he's coming in to replace Heitinga, who was sort of like a player, confidant player. He was a coaching mentor, I guess is probably the right way of putting it. He did a really good job with Gravenberch. He played a big role in transitioning him into that 6. I think about this new guy, and he was a left back. We have a new left back and a new right back that are coming in. He has 106 caps for the Netherlands. He knows what he's doing. If he's going to come in as a player mentor and help maybe shape the transition for that new left back and that new right back that we have coming in, help maybe Bradley gain a little bit more experience, maybe help him on his defensive side of things. I think that we have a few players that could benefit from, the words that he has to say. And, he's not inexperienced. He won the Eredivisie with Feyenoord before Slot came in. So Slot's going to be very, very familiar with him. It's not like he plucked him out of nowhere. So again, I think we might be overthinking about how random this is or how big of a role he's going to have. I think his job is really to kind of work one-on-one with specific players, help advance them. And again, because he has the history that he has as a player, he might be able to help grow certain individuals that are coming into our team in the same way that Heitinga was able to help with Gravenberch. And that's what Slot's known for. He's known for taking players and then elevating them. So he might see something in Van Bronckhorst that we don't see yet. And he might be able to, help some of these players hit the ground running, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, look, I probably am overthinking a bit, and he's not an assistant. He's a coach, and maybe, like Kev said, he's coming in, and he might do a year, he might do 2, and then we change it again, and we bring someone in that's third in the rung rather than first or second, and someone that just kind of keeps it ticking over. O'Sheen says Van Bronckhorst at Rangers ultimately was a failure as he didn't come close to winning a league title, but clearly effective in cup competitions, winning the Scottish Cup and making the Europa League final. He replaces Gerrard, I think, at Rangers and gets the Europa League final. But then it goes
for their 7-1 for when we won 7-1. He was the coach.
Yeah, and to be fair, it all fell apart then because Rangers are mad, and just to carry on out with them is absolutely mad at the minute. John says Heitinga will have a massive job in his hands trying to get that Ajax side to go again after the way they lost the league. Yeah, he has got a big job, but as someone said earlier, Super Dizzle said Heitinga should have had the job before. Heitinga should have had the job before he'd been in before as an interim at Ajax and he went another way. Maybe he feels he has unfinished business there, so that's on Hoytinger. But look, we'll have to wait and see. It's not confirmed. It's being rumoured. That Paul Joyce has said it. So if Paul Joyce said it, he's probably got really, really good information on that, and you might see something the next week or so. Because I seen the list of pre-season games, and they're going to come up on us quick. I was like, wow, like they felt like they were miles away, and I'm like, I think that's about 4 weeks away now. So it's absolutely flying, and there's only about 4 of them, which was interesting. So yeah, that's going to come in really, really quick. I know there's 2 games at about midnight. I did note them. Preston is the first game, and then about 4 games in the one day against Bilbao at Anfield. So that should be fun. Moving on though, players wise, we'll get to the possible ins in a minute because we've done so much on them, but you have to keep people updated. That's what they want. But before we do, Ashley, I'll come to you first. Jarell Quansah played for the England under-21 tonight alongside Harvey Elliott, and I think Tyler Morton got about 10 minutes or so at the end. But Jarell Quansah in the last couple of days is being linked away from Liverpool. Price wise, listen, I think I found stuff from anywhere between £25 million and £50 million, but he has been linked away, and there was a few rumours there that, you know, when this Wirtz deal gets done, that Leverkusen might actually come back to Liverpool and look at Jarell Quansah as a possible signing for them. One, do you think this is just throw it out there and see what happens? Or 2, is it solid and that triggers Liverpool's activity in the transfer market for a centre-back?
I think it just depends on the money that we're talking about. I think that he's valued in excess of about 40 million is the number that I've seen recently from, I think it was from The Athletic, that they were the ones that put it out there. And they were talking a little bit about Leverkusen's record transfer overall, which is 32 million euros. So to sign Quansah, that would be breaking their transfer record. Now, they're going to be getting in a significant chunk of cash from us, for which they can then rebuild, but they need more than a center back. They need several different players. They've got players on loan that aren't coming back. They obviously have Frimpong and potentially Wirtz that aren't coming back. So they're going to want to spend that money properly, and they're not going to want to splash it out on one player. If I was them, I'm not 100% sure I'd be splashing potentially a third of the cash, maybe even a little bit more than that, on Jarell Quansah. Quansah just signed a new contract with us back in October. It's something that I just rewrite about now and I almost forgot about. And he's contracted with us until 2028. The only way I see us selling him is if we absolutely need to. And like I said, if that number that they're offering is too good to refuse. And he is an academy prospect. He can balance out things like PSR, but we're not in a PSR pickle in the way that we need to sell him. I think ultimately it's, is the money good enough? And has Slot decided over the course of this year he's not good enough for this team? And I'm not 100% sure if that's true. I think it's really, really harsh on Quansah. We all know that they have drop-offs, especially young center backs, and that they don't peak until their later 20s. And I feel like with him, it's just this might have just been a year of feeling things out. He hasn't had that many minutes. I would hate to see him go, especially knowing that Elliott's probably out the door as well. I would hate to be selling all of our young prospects.
Kev, we haven't done this deliberately, but we've done a centre-back show on Monday night on our Patreon, and we were talking about, if we signed player A, B, C or D, what would we do with the other centre-halves that are there? And it seemed to be Quansah or Gomez, and there's a couple of people in the chat saying there, look, Liverpool are probably just testing the waters and saying, see what offers you get in for both of them and see which one suits us the best. But we all kind of thought we should sign a centre back. If we're going to we look like we want to strengthen in this window. We want to make this squad more, I suppose, complete, more trusted, more available to what Arne Slot wants to do. Because we know, when you look back at, do we call it last season now? I presume we do. When you look back, he had 14 or 15 really trusted players, and that was about it. And he wants to be able to trust more, I think. Well, where do you on this with Quansah? Because like we did do the show on it, but if there's any truth in this, it means Liverpool are looking to strengthen at centre half. That's just the natural order of things.
Yeah, I think after the three that come in, it's going to be one in, one out. Look, Bayer Leverkusen have just lost Jonathan Tah to Bayern Munich. Quansah is not a downgrade on Tah for me. So the thing is, if they're looking to buy Gerard Quansah, they're looking at him as an investment. They're not buying him as saying, right, we're going to break our transfer record and he's going to be our centre backs for the next decade. That's not how this is going to work. They'll look like they do, the Bundesliga clubs like to do with all English players, is if they're signing out of the Premier League, the aim is to sell back to the Premier League at a profit in 2 or 3 years' time. Just like Dortmund are doing now with Joe Bellingham. Same principle. Gittins is another one. This would be no different for them. They'd look to try and get 2 to 3 years out of him. And I think it's a good deal for Gerard Quansah to go, because he looked tonight, even for the under-21s, he looks shaky on set pieces. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's composed enough with the ball at his feet. He needs to be playing week in, week out. He's not going to do his career any good being third or fourth choice at Liverpool. Yeah, the medals will pile up and he'll enjoy some great times at the club, but he won't really be the main man. He just won't. So I think if the offer is right and we can get in a good enough replacement that's better player than what he is now to us, because we're going to be looking at someone who can come in and be plug and play now for the next 3 years, not someone to develop. There's no point in us selling Gerard Quansah and have to go and spend
19-year-old.
Well, yeah, 40, 50 million just for someone to develop. Just keep it and do it with him. The one thing I would say is I wouldn't expect any kind of move for him to happen until after the Euros finish. And by then, you're into the next season's PSR. So if we sign, say, Wirtz and Kerkez before July 1st, I think the July 1st is the cut-off date, they fall into this year's accounts. So if we sell Quansah after that, that goes into the accounts for the following year. And it means that Liverpool, because it's a really good PSR deal, it's pure profit, Liverpool could go really big again next summer on a top player. So I think they'll look at it. If the money is right, they'll do it. And I think, look, we talked about 6, 7 centre backs, and there's more out there that can come in and do a job. So I think they'll do it if the money is right. But I think they prefer to do it outside of the Premier League if possible. I saw someone there mentioning Newcastle. He wouldn't go to Newcastle. I think Bayer Leverkusen actually makes a lot of sense. They're good at developing players.
I think the Newcastle link comes from when all this stuff around Anthony Gordon last year.
Yeah.
It was rumoured it was Gomez you're looking for, and then Quansah's name come up as well. And I don't know whether that was shot down fairly quickly.
They wanted Quansah first.
Quansah and then it was Gomez.
And then they pulled out of the deal at the very last minute.
Yeah, and then it looked like, was Quansah involved at all? I don't know if he was.
The one thing Liverpool could do is try to negotiate a sale to, say, Bayer Leverkusen, where we would, like Man City were doing with Southampton, with their players that they sold, where we would get first option if they come up for sale in the next 2 years at a set fee.
Yeah. But I think clubs at the higher end of these European leagues, I don't know if they play ball like that. I think, like they'd want they'd probably agree to a percentage of a sell on, but I don't think they'd be looking going, well, we're not like you just said there. Why would we bring him in to develop him, and then if we ever want to get rid of him, these boys can buy him back at whatever price. Chris, you look at this centre half situation, and I don't think I've seen anyone in the chat saying, look, we're grand, we don't need centre backs. An awful lot of it. But when you look at it, people are asking about Konate. I still expect Kanate's deal to be okay. But listen, stranger things have happened. We could be sitting here in 3 months' time going, this fella's going on a free. But it's always down to, look at the season Quansah's had compared to when he came in, and then you look at Gomez. Can he be fit? Can he be not? And there's question marks over both of them. And I'm not too sure either of them are particularly trusted. I keep going back to that. In trust, is that where this rumour's coming from for you that they're not trusted? He probably wants someone in there that's A, fit, and B, isn't doing what Jarell Quansah was doing last season, which I think is harsh on him. I thought he was excellent in pre-season, and he just never recovered from being whipped off at Ipswich on 45 minutes on the first day of the season.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on Jarell Quansah is I don't think that the manager's wants to develop him, or doesn't think he's going to develop quick enough, because as soon as Konate picked up a serious injury, which kept him about 5 weeks, his first choice was Joe Gomez. And Joe Gomez played very well. And he only got back into the side once Joe Gomez picked up an injury. And I generally think of Joe Gomez this season just gone, could have kept the fitness he kept in Klopp's last season. I think Quansah wouldn't have seen any game time at all. I think he'd have seen even more limited game time. So for me, I think you look for a start, someone who you could see as a starting right-sided centre-back to put pressure on Konate, because you don't know with his fitness record whether last year is the new norm or last year was a bit like Joe Gomez the year before, an anomaly of staying fit. So you want someone who we can put in and we've got no real worries about. Gomez, his fitness record isn't fantastic, but when he is fit, the one thing he does give is extreme flexibility. We all prefer him as a centre-back, and he's fantastic as a centre-back. It's his best position. But if he's closed game for the last 5 minutes, you don't mind putting him in at full-back if you need to close things out. Like the cup final against Newcastle, you'd have much rather have Joe Gomez at right-back there than Jarell Quansah. It's just not his game. So for me, I think you sell Quansah for the short-term benefits and try and look at whoever your next centre-back is going to be. Long-term, could it bite us in the arse? Possibly, but I think that's kind of the big boy game now. Sometimes you've got to take that risk with a few players, and to come back and bite you in the arse, then so be it. But for me, I think you need to upgrade one of the centre-halves. And for me, I'm edging towards, from a business perspective, there's more value in selling Quansah than Gomez. And I think in Slot's eyes, if both were fully fit, I think he picked Joe Gomez ahead of Quansah.
I think I agree with you. I do agree with you, and I'm not against a Quansah going away on a loan. If Liverpool can afford it and go, listen, let's send him to an Ajax and let him play for a year under Hoyting at Ajax. Because we were talking, a centre half we were talking about the other night was Jarrett Brantway, and a lot of people in the chat are like, if we could get Jarrett Brantway, it'd be great. And somebody in the chat said earlier, I don't know whether this is a statement or whether it's a hope. Oisín, see Everton and LFC, no issue doing business this window, so it could help each other out. I'm up for Brantway. I'm up for if Brantway comes our way. So what is it being thrown out there that Liverpool and Everton have no issue with doing business with each other? Is that what the rumour is? But yeah. I think
it's the Ben Doak rumour. So
yeah. And there was also a rumour around Joe Gomez to Everton as well. But the thing is, for me, when I look at Jarrett Brantway comes into the Premier League and he looks so good from the first time he comes in, because he's gone off and done a year at PSV. He's gone off and he's gone to a league that's a physical league. It's it's quick-ish. The standards, right? You can argue how good is the standard, but he was playing constantly in a high pressure situation for PSV, because they expect to win the league. Every year they expect to challenge every year. Be in Europe, all these sort of things, and that's where it's a little bit of a mirror for me for Quansah. If you wanted to do that, if Liverpool have decided, look, he signed a new deal, like Ashley said, 7 months ago, we're gonna send him on loan. We're gonna bring in a centre back, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna develop Quansah away from us, let him come back in, and that's part of a plan for when Virgil van Dijk leaves in 2 years' time. I'm not saying he's going to take over Virgil van Dijk, but you're in a much stronger position if you've signed a really, really good centre back and you're bringing Quansah back with a year, of really, top end football, hopefully, but constant football. And I think that's what's Quansah being in and out and then being thrown right back just wasn't fair. So we'll have to wait and see. Davey T says Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Liverpool. Will you fuck off, Davey? Annoy me. I'm only letting you away because
David's on the Newquay Browns tonight.
Well, you see, the only thing is I'm letting Davey away because his shout about Jack Colback the other night is one of the greats. I'm not going to lie. I nearly offered him. I don't know. We had shares, so I'd give him some. To be fair, after that show, but look, we'll see where it develops. I'm with Kev. I think this might be one further into the summer where the opportunistic thing comes up for Liverpool because we love a bit of opportunistic stuff, and that might be where that comes from. Just on the incomings or possible incomings, Chris, I'll stick with you. Wirtz, Kerkez, nothing wrong, nothing. It's a bit of a lull in proceedings. They've both finished up their seasons now. After doing the international stints there last week. And the talk is now that, they've gone away for a little break and they should be in Liverpool early next week to complete medicals. Everyone all right with that, Chris? No panic?
Yeah. No, it's fine. There's our friends on social media doing their nothing because there's still, you won't believe this, Gav, some still think it's PR, this.
Right, okay.
Some generally think it's going to fall through and it's all PR just to keep us all happy.
Okay. Whoever's in charge of PR at Liverpool, if this is a move, I would suggest looking for another job because it's horrendous PR. Go on.
Yeah. So no, listen. Look, the big deals, and I suppose there is no rush to get them done because we're not in this Club World Cup, so we don't have to worry about getting it done this week, next week, the week after. So lads go on holiday. Next week we can then see all the central stuff, all the press stuff. I was kind of hoping Wirtz to get announced today, just to be a bit of a shithouse and piss on somebody else's parade. But that's just more things. I quite like to wind people up. But no worries. It's exciting times. I mean, Liverpool spending, smashing their transfer record on a real elite player who's only going to get better. Can't get excited. To be honest, Kerkez is a little bit the forgotten man.
And he's the one that's being linked from the earliest, he's going back to January.
Wing, he's like Peter on wing. He's been sat in his Liverpool kit for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
waiting to go. He had it on underneath his Hungary shirt, didn't
he? Chris Prosser says Liverpool wanted a quick deal on Wirtz and Kerkez. Nearly 4 weeks later, nothing. Who said Liverpool wanted a quick deal on them? I've never seen that Liverpool wanted a quick deal. Liverpool want the deals, alright, but
4 weeks for £130 million deal is not slow.
Yeah, but it's
unless the buyout clause, deals this big normally take ages.
Yeah, to me, it's, don't get me wrong, I'm a little bit surprised something didn't kind of medical wise happen this week, but if it's going to happen next week, I think it's absolutely fine. Sam reckons Kerkez gets done on deadline day. Yeah, and I did see somebody mentioning Romano up there. He had nothing to do today, so we decided, what'll I do? I'll just say Darwin Núñez looks like he's leaving Liverpool. We could have told you that ages ago. And the Saudis are interested. Yeah, we could have told you that as well. But so there you go. Limbic Monkey says the window is shut. That's why. Yeah, the window's shut, but you can still announce players before it opens. It's a registration thing. Yeah, you can sign players whenever you want. You just can't register them. That's the way it is, really. 18th of June, says Bob. The Premier League fixtures draw, I think it is. There you go. So there you go. And apparently it's Ashley's birthday either today or on the 18th of June.
On the 18th of June.
18th of June, 21 on the 18th of June. There we go. Look, the Darwin Núñez thing, everyone, the dog on the street knows that Darwin Núñez will leave Liverpool this summer. It's just a case of where he goes, and he's being caught up a lot in the whole Osimhen thing, hasn't he? Because every time Osimhen thinks he's moving somewhere, everyone goes, "Oh fuck!" Does that mean Darwin Núñez isn't moving? No, that's not.
I just read something here linking Liverpool for a potential move for Victor Osimhen.
stop it. We don't. He's getting about £500,000 in Turkey,
I know.
tax free. But I've also seen Manchester
No, it was
United
only
being linked with
tax-free.
Ekatike,
Yeah,
which
it was only tax-free for a year, though.
yeah, but still better than paying 50%
Oh, yeah.
tax in the year, and for less money.
Nice chunk of cash, like.
Yeah, it is. Look, is anyone, Kev, Ashley, anyone panicked in the process here with regards to Wirtz or Kirkis?
No, just follow the timeline. At the end of the day, he's just finished playing 2 games for Germany. He's gone on holiday for a week, 10 days. He'll come back to Liverpool, do the medical, do the media stuff, move into his new house, and just get relaxed and ready to start his new career. The next part of his career. It's done. Relax. It'll be fine. And look, I tell you what. Worry if you start suddenly seeing links from Florian Wirtz to Bayern Munich being resurrected, or Man City being resurrected, or anyone else. But at the moment, it's radio silence. There is no moves from any other club for any of those 2 other players. There's just nothing.
I mean, Bayern are doing the PR thing now of saying, we couldn't offer the financial package that he's going to get at Liverpool. That's why. They're already painting the picture of why.
Yeah, they're painting the picture as well as that with the young lad Williams.
Raphael.
Williams as well. He's been linked. People are asking there about strikers. Would I rather Joe Pedro than Ekatike? I said it the other night. I don't think Liverpool sign a striker. Currently the way it is, I don't think they do. That's just my opinion. I don't think they do.
Yeah, I think they do.
I think Wirtz becomes a man down the middle, and I think at times you'll play a striker, which will be Jota. Kev's shaking his head in utter disgust. But right now, I think there's an argument where Liverpool do not sign a striker.
Yeah, it's a weak argument.
Well,
it's a weak argument.
How is it?
It just is.
Well, go on, tell me then. Don't say it's a weak argument and then not tell me.
It's a weak argument because he's never played at a false 9 for a season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's never done it.
Okay.
And not only has he never done it, he's never done it in a league where he's going to physically get dominated. And he's never done it in a league as physically demanding as the Premier League, where you're going to be playing 50, 60 games. Whether he plays for an hour or he plays off the bench for 30. He's never played this volume of football in his entire life. And the spotlight is on him because he's a British record transfer fee. There's no need to shoehorn him into a side. Play him as a 10. That's what he is. And he's brilliant. He's world class. He's elite.
Yeah, but you see, the thing here is that if you play him as a 10, right, I don't think you play him as a 10 in the sense that you play Szoboszlai as a 10, because Szoboszlai isn't a 10. He's not a 10. People keep telling you Szoboszlai's a 10. He's not. He plays in
he's not.
midfield.
I'm convinced Dominic Szoboszlai is the one who misses out. Because he's just not as good.
Oh, yeah,
it's
I know.
Up to Dominic Szoboszlai to get better.
But you see, I think I can see a change. I can see a system where Szoboszlai isn't looked to be used in that advanced role as he was last season, and I think Slah's dropped that little bit around the Brighton game already. What I can see is Liverpool going in with 2 lads in midfield, right, and I can see one ahead of them, and I think that one ahead of them will be Wirtz, right. But again, I don't see the emphasis on the number 9. I see the emphasis, and to be fair, there's a big chance he decides that he's going to buy another wide player that can play right or left, right? And the reason being is that he puts Diaz through the middle, because he picks Diaz so many times over Jota and Nunes. Yeah. And they probably will sign a striker. But right now, I think with the shape they look to play, I think there's an argument that they don't.
I think that even if you look at PSG...
And it's not for Wirtz to play in the false 9, by the way, either.
No.
It's because Wirtz will play in a 10 higher up the pitch, because Szoboszlai isn't a 10. He's not playing a 10.
If you look at
City, though.
They could play 2 10s, yeah. They could do.
They could do from game to game, but I honestly think that the PSG performances over the way PSG played against us probably had a lasting effect on how he wants to set up. But even PSG have that number 9, that physical number 9 to play in games and it's probably, for PSG's sake, 60% of the season where they're going to dominate sides. And you need someone in the middle to occupy 2 centre-halves. And that doesn't need to be a lump, but it needs to be someone who's a physical type striker. Someone who you can hit direct, or someone who can bully centre-backs around. And the idea that you can go in with just lightweight players It's for the birds.
I also think it's just
not-
it's
you're
handed
not
down.
winning.
For me, I think you do look for a striker. Not so, but it's probably not. I don't see it being like £100 million striker or something like that.
No, I don't.
It may be someone in more of the Origi mould, someone who is a plan B off the bench. But also, if you look at what our strikers did last year, between Jota and Nunes, they didn't get 10 league goals between them. So
No,
it's
but
quite
Diaz did.
No, what I'm saying is, if you're going to replace one of Jota or Nunes, it doesn't have to be an elite strike. It's quite a low bar to get a decent improvement on that. I still think, even if it's like, I don't think we'll go for him. Say you went for Ramos from PSG, I would back him to get 12, 15 goals in the Premier League.
But that all depends on
Nunes.
that all depends on the amount of chances you're making for the forward. Because I keep going back to it.
But we make more chances than anyone else.
Yeah, but we don't make them for our strikers.
Maybe that's what he wants Wirtz to do, to give us more options.
But here's the other side of it. We cross the ball more than any other top six side. So the idea that you can't still do that and have a striker that you can hit with those crosses. I mean, it's good to have Gakpo coming in on the far left, but to have that option that you can play through the middle as well. And like Chris is right, you don't have to look. We were linked loosely last week. We all had a laugh with him, right? And I'm just reading it here. Nick Wolfsmatter, the Stuttgart striker, 23 years of age, and played again tonight for Germany under 21s and scored a hat-trick. I mean, 6'6", decent player, isn't going to cost the earth, will score goals, and is young enough to develop, and isn't going to come into a side like Liverpool and be demanding of, I'm your new number 9, just I'm starting everything. So I just think there are strikers out there. Even watching some of the under-21 tournament playing, there are a lot of 21, 22, 23-year-olds that aren't at that elite level. Some of the money being talked about for strikers is an absolute joke, by the way. Ekitike, 100 million. Will you give it a rest? He's done nothing. Look, Julian Alvarez moved from Man City to Atletico Madrid for stupid money on the back of doing nothing for club level. He went because of what he did for Argentina. And at Atletico Madrid last season, he done the sweet summer fuck all there either. He scored 15 goals. Big fucking whoop. And people are talking, the rumours going around, it'll cost 150 million to get him out of there. Fuck knows why.
Because the reason why is because his buyout clause is 500 million quid.
But
and
it's
if you do want them, but it's what his value is to them, not what our value is.
I know. But what I'm saying is, at that kind of level, if you're spending €100 million or £100 million on a number 9, you have to be buying the finished fucking product. And there is no number 9 that's been talked about in the media for any club, at any way, shape, or form, is worth that kind of money because they're not that fucking good. I honestly think there's a massive. Do you remember a few years ago there was a massive girlfriend talent that was gone from the number 6 position in European football? They were just fucking not there. And then suddenly you started seeing a few players coming through, like Tchouameni, and all these players started to come through. We're at that stage now with number 9s, out and out centre forward number 9s. So much so that Chris Wood had a banging season for Nottingham Forest, and is nothing more than an average striker, really. And they're talking silly money for these players. I think we're going to have to be really creative in how we get goals next season. But the idea that we can't manage to fit a striker that's better than Darwin Núñez to come in and do a job for us up front in 30, 35 games in a season, there has to be players out there. There have to be someone on the rung that they're just going to take off the shelf and goes, here, he's going to come in and do a job for us.
Yeah, but it's I get that, but my thing on it is that, if you sell Darwin Núñez, right, and you keep Diogo Jota, I think Diogo Jota is your plan B, because I don't think your plan A includes a striker, an out 9. I just don't.
Plan B has
I think.
to be fit.
Say again.
Your plan B has to be someone that's available.
Right. Well, then you sell Jota and you bring someone else in. Whoever you bring in is a plan B.
That's what I mean.
Because if we're
the missing piece that we're skipping over here is maybe there's no links because we haven't sold Darwin Núñez yet, and we don't want to look like we're glaringly in need of a striker, and we also don't want to be looked at as we have this striker that we're trying to offload because we have 2 strikers. So until Darwin Núñez gets sold, which we are actively trying to do, we might be holding these cards close to our chest, because yeah, like there's names that are being shopped around like Ekitike, but maybe the person that we're looking at isn't being shopped around. Maybe we have a verbal agreement with someone that hasn't been let out to the media. It happens before. It's happened before with Liverpool. It happens all the time. And until Nunes gets sorted, maybe we won't see these links. And I've said it before, I wouldn't be surprised if this is someone that's plucked out of nowhere. Hughes has done it before with Ivan Nielsen. I think we've seen it. Other clubs do really well. Like even with Wolves doing, what's his name? Strand Larson. He did really well for his first season. I think he got something like 14 goals. That's all we really need. And we don't necessarily need to spend those big bucks. I think a lot of it is contingent on who we sell. If, for example, Diaz went out the door for something exorbitant like 80 million euros, and then you also got, I don't know.
If Diaz goes, you sign the striker.
I think so, but I think
if we're going to
Nunes,
but if we're going to look at
the same caliber.
Yeah, if we're going to look at the whole, and it's been said so many times, like Slot looked at PSG and how they played and how they in transition with the ball, without the ball, how they crossed over each other, all this sort of stuff. You looked at it and you're seeing Kvaratskhelia, you're seeing Dembele, you're seeing Doué, and you're seeing Bradley Barcola, right? None of them are annoying, right? But they're terrifying because what they do is they move so much and they offer so much threat in different ways when they move into each of these positions. And if Liverpool are looking at that and going, that's the way forward, I don't think it's an out-and-out number 9. I think it's a Luis Diaz type player that will go in there. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool turn around and went, we've sold Darwin Núñez, and what we're doing is we're actually going to buy a wide man that can play either side. And we're making Luis Diaz a centre forward in all but name. Do you get me? If Luis Diaz went, I would argue they don't buy someone like when Luis Diaz, if he leaves Liverpool, people are saying, "Oh, we signed Anthony Gordon." I don't think they will. I think that if this Luis Diaz went, they would look and say, "We need someone that can play down the centre for us and left," because I think that's where this model is going, and that's what his football shows. Loads of his chances come to the boat with the wide men, and after that, it feels like it comes to the likes of your Szoboszlai, McAllister that are coming into the box late. That's what it feels like to me. Maybe the eye test is wrong, but when I'm watching Liverpool, it feels like that's where loads of chances fall to. And look, at this moment in time, I think if Liverpool sign a striker, it's a plan B. Whether that's Darwin Núñez and Jota goes and he brings somebody in, it feels a bit like a plan B sort of thing. Not a plan B. That's a bit harsh on someone. It's probably an alternate. Yeah,
The other name that kind of got loosely thrown around and it's not just with Liverpool, but the UK media as a whole is Jonathan Duran, the one that left Villa to Saudi in the January window.
I was going to say, is he only gone about 5 months?
Yeah, by all accounts, hasn't settled in the Saudi league whatsoever. Scored 12 and 18. They talk he might potentially be hawked around as a potential loan with an option to buy or an obligation to buy or something to get him back to Europe. The thing is, you've seen this already do you remember that kid, was it Vega? The midfielder who's now gone to Portugal with Porto. Highly rated, young Portuguese centre mid. Went to Saudi Arabia. And we were all scratching our head because we thought we were linked with him at one stage. And he went to Saudi Arabia and it just didn't work out for him. And now he's back in Europe. And Ashley made a great point in our chat earlier on. There's an awful lot of players turning down moves to Saudi Arabia. A lot more than what I would have expected. Because I honestly expected the Saudi clubs to move a lot more decisively in this this little mini window leading up to the Club World Cup, and they just haven't.
We all thought to be busy, didn't we? This little mini window. It's been a bit.
Yeah, but I think I think Saudi. For me, I always expected the Saudi market to pick up towards the back end of the transfer window. Especially when they have that little period where they're still open and we're not. The way, and they try entice players, and that's where I thought it'd be. I thought Saudi Arabia look and go, right, who's looking to move, who's not, who is, let's say for argument's sake, Aston Villa are making a move to get Grealish back, right? Well, if Aston Villa are trying to do that, is there anyone at Aston Villa we can take to get at a good price to get them out of
Is
there,
there an option for us to maybe
Villa can bring in, the sort of way.
Is there an option that maybe we might look at Watkins?
Yeah,
as
something
an
like
option
that. Yeah,
come in for a couple of years, 2 years.
And I think that's where the Saudis are kind of working. And I think the Saudis might be quiet at the minute because they can't quite see what other clubs are doing yet, And it was really appealing, the money, but you go over there and if you stay for 2 years, it's tax free. And we've seen Jordan Henderson do it and stuff like that. But if players are toning them down a little bit, it might be a case of the Saudis going, we can't go in and pounce on these because the money now, while it's astronomical, isn't the pull it was 18 months ago or even a year ago. Whereas they can look for good opportunities in clubs that are looking to spend big but might need a little help in hand, and that's where they swoop in and go, good name, get him over here, he'll take money. Ollie Watkins must be 29ish now, I think, at this stage.
Yeah.
And, that's mega money for him for the last big, huge contract of his career. And that's where I think the Saudis are probably situated at the minute. And you'll probably see more from them into the middle to the back end of the market when they're trying to literally go, you need a hand sign in the player, but we're going to take that fella off you, but you'll be able to go and sign who you really want. And I think that's where they might be. We talked incomes. Oh, sorry, I have got some stuff I want to ask you before we go. Brian says, lads and lady, there you go.
Thank you, Brian.
What a nice man. Before you finish, will you please address Trent Alexander-Arnold's fluent Spanish announcement and his backtracking on waiting for this for a long time? Ashley.
I thoroughly enjoyed Duolingo's tweet. I don't know if you've seen it today, but it was
yes.
Trent's 1,000 days of uninterrupted Duolingo. That was fantastic. We all know what's been going on. I'm kind of done with the story, to be honest. Like, it's become so transparent what's been happening, and the fact that he's been manipulated into creating this brand and changing his Instagram handle and blah, 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 blah. I think it's very, very sad. I think it's sad that he feels the need to distance himself from the player he was at Liverpool. It feels like he's trying to kind of turn over this new leaf and become this new player. And it's just like, I don't know. For me, I've just had enough of putting him in the spotlight. I don't wish ill on any player, but it just leaves a very sour taste in my mouth. And I think that's all I want to say on it.
Chris, he's telling people he's happy with how he left Liverpool and he's welcome back any time. I wouldn't be 100% sure on that.
No, I think his teammate. I think some of his teammates. Look, I've seen a few on social media getting really upset because Szoboszlai like the fact his Instagram post and all that. Look, the mates, they're going to like things. I think people need to get over themselves a little bit there. But if he thinks the way he left was good, I'm not being rude. Like, look at Liverpool's social media. As soon as he left, it was very clinical. It is Trent Alexander-Arnold decided to leave to go to Real Madrid. That was it. But then the next player that left, like when Kelleher left, it was a gushing, monologue of how well he'd done. It was videos. It was people talking about how well he'd done, highlight reels. Trent was literally 2 sentences. See you later. Don't let the door hit on the way out. Which says to me, he definitely fucking wound some people up behind the scenes. But I don't know. I'm also at the point where, and I've been like this with most Liverpool players, is when they go, I don't really care what they do when they leave.
Yeah.
I don't wish it well, but like, when Alonso and Mascherano left, we were great players. Did I go out my way to watch how they were doing in Barcelona? No. If they were on the telly, I'd watch it. Otherwise, I'm just not interested. I'm very Liverpool-centric that way. As long I only care about the lads who are going to help my team win stuff. So, yeah, go and enjoy Spain. I think someone quite put on social media, which was he sacrifices his legacy to build a brand. That's basically what you've done.
Yeah, he's just going to be known as Trent from now on, apparently. Kev, I'm with who am I with? Because there was somebody there that said something. I was like nodding along. going, yeah. Yes, scouts are pieces. We treat these lads as commodities when it suits, and they exploit the situation when they can. It's time to take the emotion out of it and just let it go. I'm absolutely all right with that, but I will tell you, some of the things did make me laugh, Kev, when he was going on about a long time. But then it was the one thing that really made me laugh was I've grown up watching Real Madrid winning 3 titles in a row, European titles in a row. I was like, mate, you played in one of the finals. Like you're literally in one of the finals, mate. You know what I mean? But,
look, he shot himself in the foot. I said going back months ago when he leaves, watch how he's introduced at Madrid, and listen to how he addresses the Spanish reporter. Bellingham did it, and he kind of butchered the Spanish a bit. I remember there was another player that went there, tried to speak Spanish, and the Spanish press were like, "Oh, at least he gave it a go. Fair play to him. Thanks very much." Oh, great. He comes out, he had
which is
the
fine,
accent.
by the way.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because people come over from, wherever to Liverpool, and they try a bit of talking a bit of English, like, and
no
whatever,
problem.
and people go fair
Absolutely
play.
no problem with that. Yeah. Trent comes out with the fucking accent like he's been living in the Costa del Sol for the last 6 years. And he's like, he has it down pat. By bollocks has he been doing this for 3 months? There's no way in God's green earth. Look, he's had this in the works. I'm convinced
he's had Rosetta Stone for at least 18 months.
I honestly think that this has been in the back of his mind as a possibility since he signed that 4-year contract.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the whole thing has been, like, I don't know if he had planned to go to Madrid at that point, but he left that door open on purpose.
I think Klopp leaving solidified
very early on, especially once Klopp left, I think very, very early on he made that decision.
I think that was the moment he decided, I'm going to leave.
Yeah,
when Klopp
but Davey T does says Steve McLaren's Dutch accent was fantastic.
Oh, he's got a Jamaican accent as well now.
The Jamaican one is outrageous. It's so good. If you type into YouTube Steve McLaren Jamaica, it's fucking so good. And then do you remember that other fucking idiot, Joey Barton? Just talking with a French accent. Fuck me.
The thing is with Trent, right, and I firmly believe this, by hook or by crook, he was leaving this summer. He was going somewhere, and he was going somewhere on a free. Now, if that was PSG, if that was Barcelona, if that was Madrid, or if that was Munich, he was going this summer. There is no way in God's green earth that he doesn't sign that he signs that 4-year extension back then without an option on the club side or the players' side to extend it. He had this in the back pocket, and he was going somewhere. He's been doing Spanish lessons for years. You do not develop that accent in a space of, I decided this in March. My fucking left testicle, did he? He was gone out the gap years ago. And it's like, when Klopp left, he solidified it. I don't really think he thinks like that. I think him and Bellingham, and there's a core group of young players that is the brand. And listen, football, I've said it so many times on his pods, football's a business, all right? And he's got to maximize his earning power for the next 5-6 years. And then he'll probably go off somewhere else and earn a shit ton of money doing whatever. Good, grand, delighted for him. But Chris is dead right. You're out the door. I watched the first minute of him talking, and it's like, fuck this. We've been set up here. And I just turned back on Netflix and started watching the film.
I've literally seen the odd clip on social media. I didn't actually watch it. The other thing for Trent, though, he says like he left Liverpool in the right way. Go and have a look at Liverpool's Twitter feed when they're showing pictures of the parade. And there's a one at the front of the bus, which he's there. And the best way to describe it, as we'll put on social, have you seen Monsters Inc? With a little round character gets cut out. They've based it on that to Trent, where I think a balloon's come up or something's come up just where Trent's at. They've clipped that and they've put that up
right in front of his face.
Right. So basically, it's almost like even at the parade, but you've been wiped out, because there's not a picture of him on the social media stuff, which I think is quite funny. But I also think that's quite telling because that's not an accident.
No,
That-
because they'd have hundreds of shots of that. In fairness, Paul says, Gav, when are we getting the readings of the Steve McLaren books? Steve McLaren has
Steve
books.
Bruce.
Steve Bruce, you can't get them. You can't get them.
No, they're sold out.
I sent you the transcripts.
No. When?
Yes, I did. I definitely did. Check your messages. I will resend them to you.
Resend them to me, and
Months ago.
very
exclusive.
Loads of things happen. Ashley, I'm very busy. Right, I'm playing golf.
I will resend.
To be fair,
you. Yeah, I do have the transcripts for I think at least 2 of them.
Yeah. I apologise if you've sent them to me. I didn't see them. Send them on again, and I will look after them. So there's your answer, Paul. As soon as Ashley gets off her arse and sends them things that she sent already, we will absolutely do them. And if I get the transcripts quick enough, I might do a show in the morning. Tomorrow morning, Friday morning at 30.
Friday the 13th special.
Yeah, for our Patreon members in the morning. How about that? Dylan says, Fabrizio Romano confirmed Liverpool will seal all formal steps of Florian Wirtz deal as soon as he returns from holidays. What a reach this is. The agreement is 100% done. Documents exchange, medical and contract signing he just tails off. Just tails off. Just tails off there.
We all know Romano's a bit of he's a tapping machine. You know, he only says stuff when it's done. The fact he was the only one that said it, and then every other journalist has come out and said, like, not yet. There's
the German media said it. It was the English media that wound it back. I just thought he got his news from the German side.
I just thought because they all ate it, I thought, I wonder if someone set him up. Just tell him it's done. Why? So we could all tell him he's a tit and that he's wrong again.
No, he has the formula. You know, he just has the formula.
Hey, he does.
Last question. Brandon Cheese asks, are we looking forward to Barry Keoghan releasing the new Man United kit tomorrow? Is Brandon Cheese winding me up here?
I thought they already released it on Cunha today.
Oh.
I thought they did, yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, they already did a whole reveal with Cunha.
In fairness, it's not a bad looking kit.
It's not a bad looking kit. This reminds me now, and Brandon Cheese just acting the bollocks, which is fair enough, right? Because me and him act the bollocks for each other every day, all day. But is this the thing that where they put out this thing on like Tuesday, and it was like the lights going on and off at Old Trafford and Adidas and Manchester United, something big is coming? Was it just a jersey reveal?
Yeah, it's the kit reveal.
For the love of Jesus.
No, I if it's the one that's on Cunha, and it was the one that I saw linked about, it's red top, Adidas, 3 black stripes. And it looks tasty.
So basically the Liverpool jersey with just black stripes instead of red.
And it'll be the Liverpool one will be red.
And they've got Theatre Dreams embroidered on the back, haven't they? Was where you'd have the Hillsborough 97. So yeah. I mean, for all the moaning people do about Nike kits and all that being cut and paste, I think this ones are pretty much the same. They're all cookie cutter.
Yeah, Adidas should have more about. The only thing is if Adidas
they do a really good job with like they do a good job with the kit stuff, but they also do such a good job with like all of the other merchandise. Yeah, especially like they nail it with Arsenal.
Yeah, but they're going to bring out the
Arsenal and them just.
That's going to cost you a fortune, man.
But Adidas is going to bring out the best Liverpool away jersey I've possibly ever seen. If this green one comes, I swear to God, it's
just to get out.
It's absolute perfection.
Do you know because Adidas are back now? Because that means that they could go and tweak all the retro kits.
That's what
they're
I'm
bringing back all that whole green retro.
That whole range, the whole range is going to be back.
They're bringing that all back.
Yeah. So what they'll do is they'll go to everything that was made Adidas.
It's going to be fantastic.
The 80s. Your 87, 88, 89, 90, all that Adidas
I
stuff.
think it goes all the way through like 90.
They can bring out the real thing. The green one is just off the charts good though.
I'm going to be so skinned.
But I'm a bit upset now.
Pace yourself for Christmas gifts and whatnot.
Well, I won't pace myself. I'll be told to go in and buy it all. Not for me, for other people. I'm a bit upset Barry Keoghan isn't releasing the United jersey tomorrow now. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to put it out there. But yeah, the big thing, like they knocked on and off the lights at their stadium for a fucking kit reveal.
Yeah,
Jesus
I wonder
Christ.
though with Adidas, how much influence would they have had on Wirtz to Liverpool? Because I mean, look, it is a big deal for Adidas to come back in with Liverpool.
It would be, but I would say, Kev, honestly, fuck off.
Well,
because like
I don't know. I don't know if we really appreciate how big Florian Wirtz is in Germany.
Oh no, I don't. I'm not saying that, but
I-
I don't think Liverpool have gone and said Florian Wirtz is the player for us because we're with Adidas now and he's an Adidas athlete. I don't think that's how they work. I think it's a bonus.
I think Adidas probably wakes up one morning, sees Florian Wirtz linked with Liverpool and thinks, "Holy shit!
Yeah,
like we just got a blank check.
We've struck. We've struck gold.
Yeah,
and
we
it probably
literally just got a blank check.
It probably strengthens Liverpool's negotiation in the next round of what are you giving us if we win this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Just
David T said
it's a long way to come though, isn't it? Wasn't it 15 years ago? Adidas would extend this. He's just not good enough for that.
Yeah.
And we ended up with Warrior. So big turnaround, isn't it?
10 or 11, David T did say he gets a twitch in his eye every time he hears the name Steve Bruce. You want to go and get that looked at, to be fair. You really,
I want to
really
get a doctor to check that out.
Yeah, there we go. That's about it. I think we've covered everything. From Barry Keown, Man United jerseys, Trent Spanish mixing himself up, forgetting that he played in the Champions League final against Real Madrid. Yeah, we've done loads. All the incomings, all the outgoings. Oh, before we go, we haven't covered everything because I don't cover this. Kev will be giving out to me the big fucking cork head in them. Thomas Frank, Kev, Tottenham Hotspur's new manager on a 3-year deal. I'm only going to let you speak on it, Kev.
I think it's a really good appointment for Spurs. I think he's got a massive job in his hands to win the Spurs fans around.
I spoke to a Spurs fan during the week, and they said no matter what manager gets that job, they're going to have an awful time because of Levy and the board.
That, and if you don't hit the ground running in your first 6 games, well, Ange, you sacked Ange and he just won us.
I agree, but what they'll probably say
from the fans' point of view,
can we play the Tottenham way? Remember Ozzy RD less?
No,
that's what they'll say.
No,
they will. Tell you.
Yeah.
Kev,
100%. But he won't.
They'll mention Ozzy RD less, Glenn Hoddle, right?
Yeah, Ricky
and Dimitar Berbatov,
Steve Archibald,
and that'll be it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, look, I think he's an excellent appointment if he's given 2 years. I'm really fucking glad he's not ended up in Manchester United because I think Thomas Frank is an exceptional coach, and I think the players will buy into him big time, and he's got a bit more defensive nous about him than Ange did, and I think he'll be really good for him, but it can't get worse. It cannot get worse than 22 league losses.
No.
Just finish top half would be a big jump forward.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, he's not going to come in and go, what's the Tottenham way? Okay, I'll play. He's not. So he needs, in order to get the fans on side, he has to, get the players to buy in, and he has to get results. Because he's going to go the opposite way to what Ange done. And if he goes the opposite way and it's not successful pretty quickly, they're all going to, honestly, they're going to be telling you how good Glenn Hoddle was and why can't we play like that? Because that's
look what they did to Nuno. Like they kicked Nuno out real fast, and Nuno's a decent coach. I know that he didn't impress them with the forward playing football, and that's my one fear with Frank is he's very pragmatic and he's going to fix a lot of problems, but that might mean less exciting, less risk taking football, and I think that the fans have to get on board with that. It's all about the culture, and it's can he instill the culture, and can he get the fans to buy in?
He has to be
doing. It's that for me, Frank's long term.
Yeah,
he needs time.
I think you're right about the culture. You're absolutely right about the culture, but I think he has to be given the assurances that when he goes to change this culture and the way they play, the way they approach games, that the board are going to say to him, absolutely go and do that, because I think Spurs are an absolute model for this fella to go and say that to them, and they go, yeah, grand, and he goes to try to do it, and it doesn't work properly, and they hang him out to dry. That's what I think. He's a model to do.
Loads of money too.
Yeah. That's the Spurs way.
Loads of money.
Yeah.
When they talk about the Spurs way, that's the Spurs way.
Yeah.
100%.
Anyway, best of luck to Thomas Frank in his new job, because he's a nice guy, I have to say. Do we wish luck to Ange in his new job? Three of us probably do. The other fella doesn't.
No.
Right.
Go on.
Once he's not in the Premier League, Kev doesn't give a
Stall
fuck.
that.
Right.
It takes over to Everton next week.
Oh, for fuck's sake! that has been the Talkin Kop for this Thursday night. Gonna try to do a show in the morning where we can just let our hair down and have a cup of tea. Because somebody mentioned in our Telegram group earlier about naps, just having a nap during the afternoon, and I will not have a word said against them. They are fucking fantastic. So we might do that. And if Ashley, like I said, after doing our job and sending me the transcripts of that, if you can just do it again, be fantastic. And if I can get some, I might read a little bit of Steve Bruce over a cup of tea and we'll have a laugh at about, let's say, 11 in the morning. How does that sound? That has been it. If you want to join our Patreon, you can on the screen. If you want to scan the QR code, you can do that. It's patreon.com/Talkin Kop. Loads of stuff going on over there. There's transfer stuff. There was centre half chats the other day. There was a quiz. There's loads of stuff coming through this summer. From next week, we're putting loads of different things together. From next week. Yeah, that's it. Thanks to Kev, thanks to Chris, thanks to Ashley, thanks to everyone in the chat. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that sort of stuff. And we'll talk to you very soon. Over now.